meeting of the Texas County, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. If you wish to address the board tonight during citizens communication time, if you would fill out a card, we would appreciate it. They're on the ledge there. And if you would silence your cell phones, we would appreciate that. This time we'll have a roll call.
Director Roberts.
Here.
Director Harris.
Here.
Assistant Mayor Hollabush.
Here.
Director Brewer.
Here.
Director Minor. Here. Director Hart.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we'll stand for our invocation to be given by Assistant Mayor Stephen Hollybush, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our District Court Clerk Karen Reed.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the incredible opportunity to come together and serve the people of Texarkana. We pray that you would be with us, guide us as we make decisions that affect our citizens, and God, I pray that you would bless us in every way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Karen?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. At this time, we'll move right on into our citizens communication time. Is there anyone here tonight that wishes to address the board for citizens communication time? Yes, Director Harris.
This was a letter to the editor, and it basically was sent last year, but I think it's relative to an issue that may be going on. It was sent to a letter to the editor in August of last year. The police chief selection process for Texas County, Arkansas. At one time, there was an open for a position of Texas County, Texas police chief. There was conversation for having one police chief for both cities, and they were going to be called a police commission. However, this is not where this letter is headed. My thoughts are knowing that the city of Texas County, Arkansas have a city manager form of government. That means that the city council select the city manager, and the city manager select the public works director, the fire chief, and the police chief. Then the city council member, as a Roman Coliseum spectator, may give a thumb up or a thumb down. However, not so quick at this moment in time. The average time served for a Texas County, Arkansas police chief has been about 20 years. The next police chief will have his or her social policy or psychology management by no means will have a far-reaching effect for decades to come. With the civil unrest from George Floyd to Kenosha, Wisconsin shooting, no citizen or community leader shall be just a arena spectator on this issue or only take a thumbs up or thumb down approach. There needs to be a strong community involvement from the beginning to the end, knowing that the Imperial City Manager has given the last word on this issue. The committee of recommendation shall be no more than 7 persons, either by a ward representing themselves or his and her choice from 3 wards with the highest police area and more police patrol area. I did state more police area. If you say that police patrol areas due to more to crime per se, but it may not necessarily always be true. 1 member from the Civil Service Commission, the mayor, and 2 members at large. They shall be given 187 pages selecting a police chief, a handbook for local government, or the link provided. And the link is ICMA or document selecting police chief handbook, local government. Prior to their first meeting, with there being no disguise by mass or help by other means for the next police chief process. With the stakeholder having a vested interest in selecting process, sitting in a selected process, sitting at the table with objective for the next police chief leadership will be seeking to build trust and setting policy that will have a long-lasting effect for community members. And the final outcome of the inspection police chief that will induce changes that will enhance all the citizen quality of life and making their neighborhood safer throughout Texas County, Arkansas. And then it got my name saying Lane Harris. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board during citizens' communication time?
May I, please?
Yes.
I have to go down.
You don't
I
have
think it'd be
to.
fine if you want to stay up here with us. Since you're already down there.
In my ward, I have a gentleman named Ronnie Bell, and Ronnie Bell has several things that through the years I have, tried to help him with. He's not very pleased. His son lives on like East 30th or East 31st, right off of Jefferson. And he says that there's a gentleman across the street, and he's had this complaint probably for 5 years. I've listened to it for ever how long I've been on the board. This gentleman has 8 or 9 cars parked, and those are very small lots. They're small houses, small lots, and I never can get anything done, and I just need some help. And the Ronnie Bell's son is Brian Bell, and he has to, live across the street from all that, and that's my problem. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we'll move into our consent agenda. We have several items on our consent agenda tonight. Approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on July the 5th. Adopt a resolution approving the reimbursement of $14,000 to the regional airport from the American Rescue Act funds. Adopt a resolution authorizing city manager to purchase one John Deere 644 P-wheel loader for the water company. Adopt a resolution authorizing city manager to enter into an agreement for engineering services with Spears Engineering for Rolling Ridge Drive, Dudley Avenue, and Woodland Road street rehabilitation projects. Adopting resolution authorizing city manager to enter an agreement with Bank OZK for investment management services for Texarkana, Arkansas Public Employees Retirement System Plan. What would be the desire of the board on the consent agenda? Director Harris.
Oh, well, I forgot to ask this, but I want to take number 4 off the consent agenda.
Okay, number 4 is off. That leaves items number 1, 2, 3, and 5. What's the consent of the board desire of the board to pass the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt. Second.
So we have a motion and a second for items 1, 2, 3, and 5. Is there any other discussion?
That includes 6 on the.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, 6 is regular.
Regular.
Should be. Do you have the new agenda?
Yeah.
Number 6 is the first item on the regular.
Okay,
Why is
I
it
guess I'm
one
regular.
page?
6 is regular.
6 is regular. So it's item 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Okay.
Okay? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The consent agenda passes. Director Harris, item number 4.
I know that they got some streets that's being done here, and I just noticed that I was going to ask the question on how much money is given for contingencies. That means that if something arises during the process that you're doing the street, and I noticed that on Dudley Street, you got a lot of sidewalks that's coming up in the 1500 block of Dudley Street. I guess because of trees that got it buckled and all that. It's by where the 2 houses on the left next to you get to the daycare center. And I just want to know, since you're doing the streets there, how much money do you have in contingency? And if so, could it do that sidewalk that way when you do the Dudley Street, you kind of can do, make the whole street and that whole neighborhood in better shape?
Right. Yeah, whenever we do one of these street rehab projects, I do everything I can to include as much sidewalks or roadside drainage as I can. I typically put a 10 to 20% contingency in there. I don't remember exactly how much is in this one, but I did include some money for some sidewalks and roadside drainage, that type of thing. But I will say this, I did these estimates a year ago, and asphalt prices are skyrocketing right now. For some reason, the asphalt prices lag behind when oil starts to go up. I'm not real sure why, but just within the last 2 weeks, the city's price of asphalt has gone from $76 a ton to $95, I believe, and that may have even gone up today. I'm not real sure, but it's going up real quick. So where we were paying when I did this estimate for a contractor to lay asphalt, about $105, $110 a ton, we're paying more like 150 now. So I'm going to do everything I can to get those, and if I can jump in with some of my guys and do some of that sidewalk work along with this project, I will. But we're just going to have to see where the bids come in.
In the 1.4 million that these 4 or 5 streets that we're done, that we passed in our resolution, they still have to be bid.
Right, yeah.
You're
This
just
is
doing the engineering work in the street itself. The street repair work has to be bid out.
That's right, yeah. We'll include all of these things with the plans, but we may have to shave it down a little bit to get within budget. Well, I could pretty much guarantee at this point we'll have to shave it down some.
Hey,
Okay. All right.
May
Tyler,
I address him?
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
What's the status on the street sweeper?
Looking like September. They keep on
September.
pushing it back on me. When we first ordered it, I believe he told me June, and
All right.
every month I call, and he keeps going back another month. But it's held to September for the last month and a half.
Okay,
So
good.
I'm
September.
hoping that, yes, sir.
I want to
Thank
say a good thing about 24th Street. You really did some good curb and
Well,
I
it's
mean,
our
they
guys,
all
wasn't
just-
me, but
lots of nice curb work and, you know,
thank you. I'll be sure to tell the guys.
it's very nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Is any other questions about item number 4's resolution? If not, we'll have the city attorney read the resolution.
Whereas upon the review of submitted statements of qualifications, Spears Engineering Company was selected as the candidate best suited to provide certain engineering services in connection with the design of Rolling Ridge Drive, Dudley Avenue, and Woodland Road Street rehabilitation projects. And whereas the cost of services is respectively Rolling Ridge Drive, $35,800, Dudley Avenue, $45,300, Woodland Road, $32,000, for a total of $113,100. And whereas available funds are allocated from the American Rescue Act Plan funds, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is authorized to enter into a contract with Spears Engineering Company for the work in the amount described above, passed and approved this 18th day of July 2022.
So the city attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. So the resolution passes. We're moving right along to our regular agenda. Item number 6 is to adopt an ordinance granting a limited franchise to Bird Rides Incorporated for a non-inclusive right and privilege to operate a stand-up electric scooter shearing program. This would be for the second reading. So the floor is open for discussion for the ordinance.
Mayor, we did provide you both the state law and then an overview of operations from the Bird Company. It was several pages, so you should have received those, and hopefully those answered all of the questions. Again, I think part of the question is what happens when they get left on the side of the sidewalk? And that answer from Bird is there
You
will
go
be
pick them up.
a local operator who will be required to do their daily routines on getting the scooters recharged, placing them in places that they think they will be used. All of those things will be done through a local operator.
I mean, that was just my concerns from the beginning. Is me personally, I didn't want this to turn into something that our current city staff is going to have to take care of, because we're going to have issues and we don't have the manpower certainly to take issue. We're certainly not doing it for the money, and I do understand totally that this is an interim type basis to see how it goes. I understand from talking with you that the Texas side has passed this ordinance already, and they're very interested in coming here, but would like for us to do the same. I understand where that comes from, but there's a lot of, this is like a self-taught type thing, and I don't see it being real successful just in Texarkana, Arkansas, because they're mainly ridden by a lot of college kids, where I've seen them very prevalent. But I'm really, I guess, for trying anything, but I know that we're going to have issues, and we're going to have somebody that is going to do it. Our other issue, I think, was brought up at our last meeting, was had you talked with the police department or whatever? Tonight, you told me you had discussed with them, and they don't have really any issues with this. It's just trial run. That's the way I look at it.
Did you say they
They have met with them. Bobby, would you like to comment, or?
No, I provided the city manager with the laws that we were talking about last time. We don't have any, I think that any laws that are associated with the operation on the streets that clearly outlines that the board has the authority to set those guidelines.
Is there operational hours that is restricted or non-restricted for the use of these?
There's no current restriction of the hours themselves for use. They are set by that app and your card that you put in there. So when you go swipe that card on it or tap that card on it, whatever it may be, and it activates that scooter, then it can be operated 24/7.
Is there lights on this scooter?
We discussed that. I don't think they have lights.
I don't believe they are, as far as the equipment that's required.
I think they
They're
do.
not required to have the lights.
Yeah.
They're required to have a floorboard.
Yeah.
They're required to have a seat. They're required to have handlebars, and not operate over 20 miles per hour. And going back to your question about the hours of operation, if you wanted to regulate that, the board has that authority.
But we would have to, in my opinion, if we were going to do something like that, we have to mirror the Texas side. So I don't know if their passage of this has a hour of operation in it, but we would need to check into that.
It does not, Mayor, and I think the important part is this is a trial system for both of us on both sides, and that's the reason we did it for 1 year, to determine if there are going to be any problems or issues during that time period. We'll try to get them addressed as quickly as they can, and then this will come back to you within 12 months to see whether we want to put this on as a longer-term use.
Well, taking accountability for, I guess, the risk assessments or what have you, pending someone, the liability, what would be the city's liability, someone get hurt?
None from what I've read.
It would be
They
the
are-
same, I imagine, as if you're driving a car down the road.
If you don't have an iPad, if you don't have an iPhone or credit card, you're not getting on with anything.
All right,
And when
but
you
is
tap
that
that thing,
stated?
it's going to stay in there.
Well, the cities will have statutory immunity from
Okay.
court things. So it's the very same thing as if somebody alleges that they broke their wheel or did something in a pothole. That happens very often, I would think. I don't mean to minimize personal injury, but, those are, I think that's out there. This just gives somebody the right to operate, just like a utility in the right-of-way where you can operate these things. Utilities within the side of the right-of-way, these things would be in the right-of-way.
Thanks. Thanks, George, appreciate it.
Bobby?
Michelle, a little item have, it says that the statute requires that the scooter share operator shall carry the following insurance coverage dedicated exclusively to the operation of the shared scooter. And it's $1 million for each occurrence, $5 million aggregate.
Okay, good. Thanks.
So the ordinance
They hold the
have,
city,
yes, pardon me?
but they don't hold us.
No.
No.
So the ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading abbreviated form.
Second.
So the motion and second to have it read on its abbreviated form on its second reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabish.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Minor.
No,
Hart.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance granting a limited franchise to Bird Rides, Inc. for the non-exclusive right and privilege to operate stand-up electric scooter sharing program in areas of the public right-of-way in accordance with applicable law.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading tonight?
Motion third abbreviated.
Second.
Motion and a second to have it read on its third reading tonight in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabish.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Minor.
no.
Hart.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. And the ordinance passes. Mo- Huh? Is that the third reading?
Third reading.
I don't need
Oh,
to-
motion to adopt.
An ordinance granting-
Ordinance has been read on its, oh, you need to read it on its third reading.
An ordinance granting a limited franchise to Bird Rides Inc. for the non-exclusive right and privilege to operate stand-up electric sharing, a stand-up electric scooter, electric sharing program in areas of the public right-of-way in accordance with applicable law.
All right, now it's been read on its third reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this particular ordinance? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollowbush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Minor.
No.
Hart.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. And the ordinance passes. Moving right along to item number 7, with adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 26, Article 2, Sections 26 through 28 and 26 through 29 of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances to provide for revisions to the water and sewer rates. I will say that I have a technical issue. I have discussed this with the city attorney. This will be open for discussion from the board. If you noticed in your packet, also pertaining to this particular ordinance, we have an asterisk that stated this ordinance was introduced on July 5th of 2022. Motion for first reading failed due to lack of second. The ordinance within itself that was presented was never read. The ordinance that is included in your packet is a completely different ordinance. It's my understanding that my opinion would be that we can't vote or support this new ordinance. It is not relative to what we did not have read at the last meeting. They're two different things. So my suggestion would be in discussion, and we'll let the city attorney or any other director talk, would be that we not address this particular item tonight. To me, this pertains to a rate increase. This pertains to a pretty good rate increase for the next 3 years and really beyond that, but for at least the next 3 years. And I don't want to appear that we're actually voting on something that we really not intended to do. That when we say it was introduced, this was not the ordinance that was introduced at our last meeting. This ordinance has the specifics of some of the projects. To me, it doesn't cover everything I would like to see it cover, but it does cover a lot of the specifics and what the rate increase would be intended for. And I don't think that it's worth the risk, in my opinion, to the citizens to confuse what we're actually voting on. And that's strictly my opinion. Yeah.
This was only raised to me within the last 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so, when I saw what it says here. I understand the initial concern was, look, the agenda, the basic agenda has this language on it about introduced, but wasn't read, as the mayor just voiced. The real concern with the challenge would be from certain ordinances have to be on the city manager's office and with the clerk's office so many days prior to each meeting. And in the past, I don't know, you might remember, Director, this has come up where something might be contentious and subject to attack in the future. And in those instances, the board's asked me what makes it more or less defensible, the perfectly most defensible thing that it can have. And I'd say, the thing to do is to push it and wait until the time where you can comply with that or you comply with your rules to the letter. This may not be an issue, that it may be, but there is a risk there that's otherwise foreclosable. That somebody doesn't like this, they can attack it on the procedural grounds, no doubt. And I don't know if it'd be successful. And once again, you have, look, I have this ordinance that we did, and we went through these processes, so I don't know the answer, and I can't tell you the crystal ball there, but I know that it has been an issue in the past, and I don't want to say threatened, but of concern enough that I've seen it be delayed.
Any other discussion?
So if it doesn't pass, okay, so if we don't do anything with this, are we bringing back the one that was on the, or would it be a whole new?
We would just bring, in my opinion, George can answer this, but in my opinion, we would just bring the new ordinance forward at the next meeting. This one basically has already been amended. I mean, that's what we did. They've amended it between now and our last meeting, but we're not really referencing that, in my opinion, on the agenda. We're talking about the old ordinances with the new addition. But we would just bring the new ordinance up at the next meeting.
The real substantive difference between this one, in addition to having those things listed out as the reasons that the board's saying, these, whereas this and that are needs of it, the real substantive difference here is the next to the last paragraph, that's section 4, that adjusts and makes clear that an existing consumer price index increaser is not effective in the same year as these bumps are there. It's a very good clarification that needs to be there. But in addition to those other reasons stated in here, the substantive thing is right there.
Gary, what is the time frame for the water ordinance to really be passed to have the rate increase? Or Tricia May can answer. What is the absolute deadline to have this water increase voted on to get it implemented by October?
I would think the second meeting in,
August would be the
August.
deadline.
yes, sir. Am I right? Or could we go as far as September?
We could go as far as September.
The first meeting in September?
But we're still not under real time constraint. We have 2 to 3 meetings left to do. What would be the desire of the board? So item number 7 is to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 26, Article 2, Sections 26 through 28, 26 through 29 of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code Ordinance to provide revisions for water and sewer rates.
I guess my question is, back to the city manager, if you plan on putting another one on now, if you don't do nothing with this one, do this die because you don't vote on it, or does it stay on the book until you vote on it and vote it off? Or no, 'cause I've been here where the ordinance had 2 different effects, meaning that I had been on here where you just started reading the ordinance, and read time, and then you voted up or down. And I've been here where you add the concept of having a motion and a motion to adopt. But the final result is, I'm asking you that if you don't take no action on this, that this stays on the book until you gotta wait till it's withdrawn by the ones who present it, or what?
Oh, no, I just think it'd be similar to a table to the next meeting kind of thing, like they did last time, if you didn't want to take action. If you did take your action on this ordinance as presented, there's not a reason in my mind that this ordinance would need to be further amended based on what the utility has proposed. And so I don't think that it's going to be one of those situations where you come back and amend that. It's set up to run beginning in 2026, start an auto thing again like it's doing right now.
So could we just maybe vote to table this indefinitely, and then the next August 1st meeting, bring the new ordinance to be voted on, which would...
You could certainly do that, yes. And that way you would, if you were worried about a challenge, you could say, we were worried about it there. You would not have that challenge because of procedural
We never
issues.
voted on.
Right.
Any other discussion?
Therefore,
So
Yes.
it's tabled, go ahead, Director.
I would just say, go ahead and move the table the ordinance and just to indefinitely.
Are you making that informal
Yes, I'm
motion?
So by,
So Director Harris has made a motion to table. Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion?
So this one, we'll vote to table it, and then we will vote on the actual increase at the next meeting. Is that right?
we could, the ordinance that will be in your packet at the next meeting will be the one to take action on.
Gotcha.
And to make sure that I'm clear, by doing this, it's going to take away the technicality of what we didn't do last meeting, about there was the motion for the first reading that, that
Didn't do
didn't
nothing.
happen, right? So,
That's just going to become moot.
so now that's going to be null and void, that's going to be,
We're starting over. If
gotcha,
this passes to table,
Right.
in my opinion, we're starting over.
right.
That's
And it kind of
And
erases.
you actually have the revised ordinance in your packet to review, so.
This addresses, to some extent, the concerns that were addressed by the board, and then this third one that has been brought up in connection with how this operates.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Hart,
No.
Brown,
Yes. No ordinance is tabled.
Thank you.
Moving right on into board commentary. Do we have any directors that wishes to address the board tonight in board commentary?
I just have to, Mayor.
All right.
I know I had brought up the issue of one time of the code of conduct by the board official. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up, sometime last year, that was brought to my attention by the city manager due to a complaint that was filed on me by a police officer. And the police filed a complaint on me because I put a video on Facebook. And she said that I put her in a hostile environment by putting a video on Facebook, even though I feel I was exercising my First Amendment rights by putting a video on Facebook. But the city manager said that was the investigation, and then he really had me into his office for some other reason, but yes, he gave me a piece of paper, saying that was an investigation and some other stuff on there. I can't remember per se what all in there. But the issue where I'm trying to get is that who can the city manager actually try to control my conduct per se, because technically I'm his boss, and the action he took really was based on and I have some of the investigative report by the police, and then it was saying, I'm gonna say investigator named Rachel Hopkins, and the police officer that did was Captain Christina Kuntz. She the one filed the complaint, and the day I put the video was on my November the 2nd Facebook page. But the question I'm asking is that if we finna get ready in the process of doing the city manager performance appraisal, and technically I'm 1/7 his boss, how can he take action towards me, per se, for I supposed to violating the code of conduct by a police officer saying that I created a hostile environment for posting a video on Facebook? So, and then that's one really kind of lost as to how is that, if I'm his boss, 1/7, how can he take action against me, even though I feel that code of conduct was put in place really back in 2017, cause of action, due to action that I may have or may take, or this or that, and that get into another legal concern. I ain't not gonna get into all that because, but it's a pending litigation on that right now anyway. But I'm just trying to get to, so, who's supposed to take action towards a board member if he's supposed to violate the code, the board member code of conduct? And I don't think it's, like I said, it can be the city manager, because like I said, I'm his boss, and based on what it was done, a bogus complaint by a police officer saying that I created a hostile environment just because I put a video on Facebook of her. Yeah, I did do that, and I did take the video, and I did put it on that. But I'm just saying, how's that code of conduct supposed to work?
I'm what action did the city manager take against you?
He
What-
gave me a memorandum for record. So basically telling me that my action, you had to FOI and get the copy of the memorandum for record that he gave me. But I'm just saying, just the idea that he's sitting down and talking to me about that, and I'm supposed to be one of seven, his boss. I really don't see how could that conversation even come to effect. And it was written on the concept of disorderly conduct, if I can remember. But none of y'all was up here, maybe only one board member was up here when that was written in 2017. But none of y'all other six was up here. Well, not.
I was here.
No, well, yeah, only, yeah, I ain't gonna call you out.
That's
But
the
you,
one at
but,
the
but you the only
festival
one
down
that was up here when that was written, and like I said, and I'm just trying to figure out if I do a performance appraisal of the city manager, and I put down taking action that I don't think need to be taken, and I give him a bad remark doing the performance appraisal based on some bogus stuff that was done towards me. So how is that gonna work, because
Here's Director Hurst, is what my understanding would be, and this is just the way I understand it, and I have read the board code of conduct, that we all, when we take an oath of office, we pledge to abide by the policies and procedures of the city. Regardless of when the code of conduct was adopted, we're all under that code of conduct, regardless of when it was adopted. So when you became an elected official, you've agreed to apply by that. To me, that code of conduct lies with the board of directors to take action on any director that does not comply with that, or some complaints or something. What's role the city manager has in that, he certainly, in my opinion, can't do anything about it, but you're elected by your particular ward, but he would certainly have some input in my, if somebody came to him about some kind of complaint, he would have the authority to talk to you about it.
he did. He said the police officer made the complaint.
But you have every right to evaluate the
Yeah,
city manager
but
in
I'm
any
saying
manner
that-
which
but-
you see fit.
But I'm saying that it was done on, to me, a bogus issue, because I can need to operate my First Amendment rights I can place any video on Facebook, and for her to make a bogus complaint, because if you're gonna turn around and make a complaint against a police officer, it almost take the act of Congress to do that. You got to find a statement.
The only problem that I see is it may be bogus to you, but it wasn't bogus to them. So that's why they brought it to us.
To me, it is
And
bogus,
there's not
saying I created
there's not a mechanism in place that I'm aware of to where we argue those points.
Yeah, I'm saying for me to put a video on Facebook and I create a hostile environment for that. No, to me, that is a bogus complaint.
I do have to say, is this something we were supposed to know about prior to tonight?
I don't know.
I didn't know anything.
Nobody don't maybe know about it.
I'd like to ask a question. You're not referring to that city manager.
Yes, I am referring to that city manager.
Well, he was not here.
But he did this. He did give me that.
Are we talking about 2017?
No, he's talking about 2017, the code of conduct was passed.
Past the 17. No,
That's in your policy.
the current city
This
manager gave me.
occurred in 2017.
No, it's definitely.
No, this is completely different.
He was using
That's
27.
when it
Let's try to stay relevant to what he's talking
The
about
current
tonight.
city manager
I'm not
gave
sure what that
me
is.
memo for record. That's what I'm saying. The current city manager. And now, if we do this performance appraisal, if I do it, if I bring up stuff,
It's totally, you have that right.
I'm just saying, but.
I'm just saying that my opinion is that the people that violate the code of conduct on this board of directors should be dealt with by the board. That's where any action could come from, would be from this board, the way I understand it. So that would be whether.
I think that get into the issue too, because technically, the board can only do something what the state legislature get them operation to do. Once the state legislature does not give you authorized to take action on another board member, I don't even see that, but I think that's really based on the people who put that person in office really gonna make that
Well,
determination.
that would be true on election day, but if.
Yeah, that would be true on election day, but I'm saying that for any board member to take action, for me to take action against any one of y'all, that had to be a state, I had to get authorized for the state, because the state really control
That would be something that I would have to research.
Well-
My take is I don't want to ever get in that position.
Well, like that, we got a city attorney right over there, so.
All right, any other board member wish to address the board tonight?
I would like to address Gary and the staff at TWU. We've had some issues over in Ward 6 with one of our restaurants, and I just want to commend them on the job that they've done and the staff of being very proactive in helping one of our most successful businesses in Texarkana, Arkansas, and making that owner happy. And a lot of times we're real quick to take a lot of criticism, but I just want to say that, Gary, you're doing a great job. We thank you for the staff. We thank you for your leadership. And I've seen a tremendous difference in the attitude of your staff in helping the public, and I'm thankful for that. So I just want to say thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you, Yes, sir.
I'd like to echo that. The same gentleman that he's talking about, called me and sparkling review. I mean, they were just he was very positive, and he's had issues in the past with different things, and I think he's really come around to knowing we're doing the best that we can, that you're doing the best that you can, and he's very supportive of everything that y'all have done.
Yes.
And Tyler, I really appreciate what y'all have done in my ward with some stuff that we've been working on, and it looks fantastic, and I appreciate it.
I would also like to thank Tyler and his street crew out there. Those guys are staying hydrated. They're just out there making it happen in this heat. I stop and talk to them all the time, and they're doing a good job. Hey, thanks for your guidance and direction, your motivation to your crew to keep them going.
Amen.
Good job.
I mean, I sweat getting dressed, so I know y'all do.
Any other comments from the board? If not, we move into our city manager's report.
Mayor and directors, I've got several items for you. First is to tell you that I've been working with my animal control advisory group, and we have a draft ordinance to bring on spaying and neutering of animals for our community. This is that particular type of ordinance and law is a little controversial in a lot of communities across our country. So I'll ask you to do whatever research you can as we bring this forward. But again, our advisory group has been looking at this for about a couple of months now. And we are asking the Texas side to look at it as well, to see if we can get some of our animal control issues under some control. I don't mind telling you that we are overburdened, and we can adopt 10 out a day and 20 may come in the same day. So I just share with you that we're spending a lot of time on this, and it'll be coming to you hopefully in the latter part of August or first part of September. And I think you'll enjoy, I think some of our advisory people will come again to our meeting and share with you how much time they've spent on looking at this. And again, it's a tough call for a lot of communities across the country. Next, I've got two other items, working on some options in relationship to the 911 system and the PSAP. Trying to get to some options and have the discussion with our other two partners in the 911 center. We'll also be preparing a resolution that we'll bring to you that will talk about the three of us as entities assuring our communities that we're all in this operation together in the bi-state, that we're not going anywhere, nobody's talking about pulling out, nobody's talking about doing anything different, but so we'll be putting back in place or reissuing our agreement in relationship to that, and that'll come to you in the form of a resolution as well in the future. We are looking at some options there, so we'll try to bring some options to our partners as well to see if we can come up with some different ways to look at that. And of course, that is being driven primarily by the state of Arkansas, saying, I want you to consolidate some of these units around the state. The JDC is the other one on my list, primarily in a standby mode. I attended the quorum court member meeting last week. Told them we're here. We've put in place what we said we'd put in place with our juvenile arrest and dealing with those. And I think it is probably a tough financial decision for the county. And I stand available to visit with them at any point in time as they move forward with making that final decision. I too want to tell you our public works work crews have accomplished a great deal this summer. I will tell you their work level is much improved. It is much better organized. And if you follow them around today, you'll see that it's 8 or 10 work orders that they're accomplishing rather than 2 or 3. And so they, with less than a couple of dozen people, they're doing lots of work for us. So I just want to say that as well.
Jay, I have a question on that. As far as the human capital, are we still in the hiring process for more manpower?
For any additional manpower?
Yes, for the
We
street
hired anybody,
crews.
Tom?
Yes, for public work, for the street crews.
Yeah, I'm bringing on 2 individuals. They start Monday. We're pretty well keeping a full crew though. But,
Okay.
We do have some turnover, but we're pretty regularly staying full staff here
Good
for the
deal.
last few months.
Thank you.
I do have and wanted to let you know that applications for police chief are continuing to come in. That advertisement will run till the end of July. Right now, we have a couple of dozen applications in, and so I will be organizing that process and moving on through that. And my date that I've set for myself is September the 1st, trying to get there as quickly as I can in that process. But again, that comes up pretty quick here. I will be out from the 22nd through the 3rd of August, but after that, I will spend a lot of time looking through applications and process, trying to get that solved.
Jay, I have a question on that. Is there a citizen selection committee that'll be used through that hiring process as well as a
There
preliminary?
is not a selection committee at this point in time. I do have a couple of people that I'm asking to participate with me in application review first, and as I get through that, I'll determine if we want to put a panel together to help me work through the question and answer period as well.
Thanks, Jay.
Jay, I've got a question, and it's nothing that we would be able to vote on, but I don't know if it would, the quorum court, I think in November, votes to set the millage for next year, if I'm not mistaken, and Mayor, you may know more about this, but if your millage is not maxed out, you're not available to get matching funds or anything like that. Is that correct?
There is some information from the state that says we're not interested in funding state projects to assist communities that
Funding
have not
themselves.
maxed out their street millages themselves.
Okay.
Okay. And Director Roberts, I've had some preliminary discussion with a couple of the quorum court members that recognize that they are not there. I think we may need to look at passing some type of resolution encouraging them to consider raising that millage. Because you understand, when they raise it, then we get a percentage of that. So I'm not sure where they are with their needs on roads and streets and bridges, but again, our needs are great. We do know that. And again, remember, as as you look out to our quorum court group as well, too, all but 2 of their members touch city limits. So, that's kind of important that we keep those relationship pieces together. So, be sure and know who your quorum court member is and that touches your wards, and make sure you make some contact with them as well. I've had a couple of contacts with a couple of them here in the last couple of weeks, even just talking about the need to look at raising that millage to its maximum level for us.
Thank you, Jay.
Anything else? Our next meeting date will be Monday, August the 1st. If no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor. Yes. Hart,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned.
Heather, is there a no vote to adjourn?